Let me tell you about a man who took his son up a mountain to cut his throat. We call him a hero of faith. We name our children after him. And I want you to sit with something uncomfortable tonight. If that man lived on your street, you would call the police. And you would be right. The story is old. God tells Abraham to take Isaac, the son he waited a lifetime for, the son he loves more than his own life, up Mount Moriah and kill him. 3 days walk. 3 days carrying that. Next to the boy, in silence, he goes. He builds the altar. He raises the knife. And every Sunday someone stands in a church and praises this. But watch, the trick. Right in the middle, they quietly swap the word Isaac for the words the best. Abraham was willing to give up the best. And everyone relaxes. Everyone nods. Nobody has to look at the knife. We do this constantly, by the way. We take the thing that should terrify us, wrap it in a soft word, and file it away. Kierkegaard refused. He said, put Isaac back. Because here is the sentence he would not soften. The ethical word for what Abraham did is murder. The religious word is sacrifice. Both are true at once, and neither cancels the other. Now stop looking at Abraham for a second and look at yourself. Because this book is not about a man on a mountain 4,000 years ago. It is about what you would be willing to lose, and whether you have ever once in your life been asked. To understand what Abraham did, you first have to understand what he didn't do. Because there is a lesser move that looks almost identical, and almost everyone stops there. Kierkegaard called that man the knight of infinite resignation. Picture a young man in love with a princess, not a crush. His entire life has gathered into this one love. And it is impossible. It will never happen. Not in this world. Now, the sensible people crowd around him croaking, forget her, be practical. The brewer's widow is a fine match. He doesn't listen. He doesn't cheapen it. He doesn't hunt for a replacement. Instead, he does the calculation to the very end. He sends out every hope like a bird and waits, and one by one they all come home with the same answer, impossible. And then he stands alone and he lets her go. Completely. Forever. He does not forget her. That would be easy, and it would make him a smaller man. He remembers everything, and the remembering is the pain. And in that renunciation, something is won. He gives up the girl and receives in exchange his own eternal dignity, a peace no one can take from him. Kierkegaard says, I can do that. That much I understand. I can renounce anything. It is the highest thing a human being can achieve on his own strength, and it is still not faith. It's the last step before faith. And here's what should unsettle you. Most people never even get this far. They just quietly settle for the brewer's widow and call it wisdom. So what is faith then? Watch closely, because it happens in a single instant and almost nobody sees it. The knight of faith does everything the resigned man does. He gives up the princess. He gives up Isaac. Absolutely. He drains the same cup of sorrow to the bottom. And then, in the very same breath, he says something insane. He says, nevertheless, I will get her back. I will get him back. Here. In this life. Kierkegaard has a name for this. He believes by virtue of the absurd. And be careful with that word. The absurd does not mean unlikely or improbable or a long shot. It means the thing human reason has already declared closed, finished, impossible. He is not a fool who never did the math. He did the math. He got the answer. And then he steps past the answer, past the last outpost of reason, and believes anyway. And here's the shock, the thing that made Kierkegaard almost weep with envy. What does such a man look like? You'd expect a mystic, a haunted face, a strange gait, someone visibly touched by the infinite. No. He takes a walk on Sunday, sings the hymns too loudly, and thinks with genuine appetite about the roast his wife might have waiting. And if there's no roast, oddly, it's all the same to him. This ordinary man has given up everything and taken it all back, and the world tastes as sweet to him as to someone who never suffered a day. Kierkegaard says, the resigned are like dancers who leap beautifully but wobble when they land. You can always tell they're strangers to the earth. The knight of faith lands so perfectly it looks like he's just standing there. To express the infinite entirely inside the ordinary, that and only that is the miracle. And Kierkegaard confessed, honestly, I cannot do it. I can renounce. I cannot believe. Now here's where it turns on you. Because we do honor people who sacrifice everything. History is full of them. So what separates Abraham from a murderer? Kierkegaard drew the sharpest line in the book, and it does not stay on the page. It ends up pointed at your own life. Agamemnon sacrifices his daughter so the fleet can sail. Brutus executes his own sons because the law demands it. Terrible, yes, but we understand them. Each one can stand up and say, I did it for the nation, for the law, for the vow. There is a reason, and it is a reason we all share. That is why the whole community can weep with him and call him great. Abraham has nothing. No nation demanded Isaac. No law, no vow. Nobody benefits. There is not one sentence he can say that would make a single person nod. And now think about your own life. Think of the decision that actually made you who you are. Leaving the career everyone was proud of. Staying with someone nobody understood. Walking away from the faith your family still keeps. Choosing the work that pays nothing. Did you ever manage to explain it? Or did every explanation come out of your mouth sounding like madness, or selfishness, or a crisis? Here is the trap Kierkegaard saw. The moment you produce a reason that satisfies everyone, you have handed the decision back to them. To justify yourself is to admit you are answerable to the crowd, and then it was never really your choice. It was the crowd's choice wearing your face, which means the decisions you can defend are not the ones that define you. The ones that define you are exactly the ones you cannot. So, either a person can stand above the shared rules for something higher, and Abraham is the father of faith, or they cannot, and he is a murderer. There is no third option. Kierkegaard refused to build you one. And now the detail that should follow you home. Abraham told no one, not Sarah, his wife, Isaac's mother, not Eliezer, his oldest servant, not the boy. 3 days of walking beside the person he loved most, and he carried it completely alone. And be precise about why, because it is not tact, it is not strategy. Kierkegaard says, he was silent because he could not speak. He had words. They would have failed. If he turns to Sarah and says, God told me to kill our son, what has he communicated? Madness or evil. He has explained nothing, because there is no explanation the human world can receive. And you know this silence. You have lived in it. The thing you could not tell your mother because she would hear it as a betrayal. The decision your friends would have talked you out of, so you simply stopped bringing it up. The grief you carried into a room full of people and set down nowhere. Not because you were hiding, because you tried the sentence in your head, heard how it would land, and understood that being understood was not available to you. The tragic hero can always speak, and his speech is his glory. Agamemnon tells his daughter why she must die, and in telling her, he gives her the last gift there is, the consolation of understanding. Abraham can give Isaac nothing. He cannot let Sarah share the weight. Kierkegaard's verdict is cold and exact. The knight of faith is essentially, not accidentally, alone. That is not a side effect of his situation, that is his situation. And if you have ever stood in a room full of people who love you, and known that not one of them could follow you where you were going, then you already know what that mountain feels like. On the mountain, Abraham does say one thing, the only sentence he speaks in the whole story, and one of the strangest ever written. Isaac, walking beside him, carrying the wood for his own fire, looks up and asks, Father, where is the lamb for the offering? And Abraham answers, God will provide himself the lamb, my son. Look at what that is. It is not a lie. He truly believes God will provide. And it is not the truth. It conceals everything. It is the speech of a man who cannot speak. Underneath it says, I cannot tell you. There are no words for where I am, but I believe. Anyone who has held something alone in front of a person who trusts them completely knows the weight of that sentence. Kierkegaard burned a book to make faith hard again. He watched his age treat it like a clearance sale. Everybody has it. Everybody's already past it. Everybody's going further. He said nobody goes further. The lover does not go beyond love, he lives in it. Faith is the highest thing a human being can do, and in every generation, only a few ever reach it. So he does not ask you to go further than Abraham. He asks you to stop. Now, name it. The thing you would not survive losing. You knew before I finished the sentence. That is your Isaac. And the question is not whether you would put it on the altar. It is whether you could give it up completely and still believe, past the end of every calculation, that you would get it back. Kierkegaard confessed he could not. Standing at that door, not understanding, was closer to the truth than pretending he did. So stand there and feel the shudder of the thought.